The wind howled outside, a mournful, lonely sound. Vera, perched on her ninth-floor eyrie, ignored it. Textbooks sprawled open on the table, pages filled with dense legal jargon. She was a prisoner to her upcoming exams, the only illumination a pool of warm light from the desk lamp. A mug of cocoa, growing cold, sat forgotten beside her notes. The old building creaked around her, a familiar symphony of age and weather. It was a night like any other, until it wasn't. A sharp rap on the window startled her. Vera looked up, heart thudding. The window, a dark mirror reflecting the room back at her, showed nothing. Must be the wind, she thought, trying to rationalize the sound. She returned to her studies, the rhythm of her highlighting momentarily broken. She tried to focus, to lose herself in the intricacies of contract law, but a prickle of unease remained, a disquiet in the silence of the room. The wind howled again, louder this time, and she could have sworn she heard a faint scratching sound accompanying it. The knock came again, more insistent, 2 sharp raps on the window pane. Vera froze, her breath catching in her throat. This time there was no mistaking it. That was no branch tapping against the glass. Her apartment, high above the street, offered no logical explanation for the sound. Slowly, cautiously, she rose from her chair, her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the quiet room. Each step towards the window was an exercise in controlled fear. Reaching the window, she hesitated, dread pooling in her stomach. What if it wasn't the wind? What if someone was out there? Taking a deep breath, she forced herself to look. The wind whipped snow against the glass, obscuring the cityscape beyond. And then she saw them. 2 faint, smudged marks on the outside of the window. Handprints. Terror, cold and sharp, pierced through her. The lights flickered, once, twice, then plunged the room into darkness. Vera gasped, her hand flying to her mouth to stifle a scream. The wind seemed to howl louder, mocking her fear. The only light came from the faint, silvery glow of the moon on the snow outside. She fumbled for her phone, the cold metal a comfort in her trembling hand. No signal. Of course, there wouldn't be, not now. She was trapped, alone in the dark, with only the storm and whatever was outside her window for company. The silence was deafening, broken only by the pounding of her own heart. And then another sound, a slow, deliberate scratching on the glass. Someone or something was trying to get in. She backed away from the window, bumping into the table behind her. Books tumbled to the floor, their pages fluttering in the sudden rush of air. But the window was closed, she reminded herself. She was safe. Safe on the 9th floor. But the rational part of her mind was losing ground, swallowed by the rising tide of panic. A whisper, barely audible above the storm, sent chills down her spine. "Let me in," it seemed to say, the words carried on the wind. Vera's eyes darted around the room, searching for the source of the voice, but there was nothing there. It had come from behind her. She whirled around, her back against the wall, her phone clutched like a weapon. The shadows in the room seemed to deepen, taking on menacing shapes. She was surrounded, trapped. Panic threatened to overwhelm her. And then she saw it. The balcony door, the one she always kept locked, stood ajar. A ribbon of snow snaked across the threshold, a silent testament to the impossible. She didn't remember leaving it open. She never left it open. A fresh wave of terror, colder and sharper than before, washed over her. They were already inside.